back to Recommendations Required, a podcast where two best friends try to find their next obsession, and maybe so will you. I'm Ryan Mion.
And I'm Glenn Brown. Yeah. Okay. So I need to start off with an apology. Okay. I came in
to the
you.
listeners.
I have done you a great disservice because I came in last episode half cocked. I had only seen one episode of the show. I have now finished the show. And if I had finished the show before our last recording, I would have pitched it so much harder to you, and I wouldn't have come in so weak on it. Because this show beats ass, and I love it.
Glenn, the feeling, I'm just going to jump straight into it.
Yeah, let's go.
So
how far did you get?
Well, okay, hold on.
Okay.
We got to pedal back. Okay. We got to set the scene. You came in, I think, second time in a row with no recommendation. Just saying.
Yes.
Just saying. Second time in a row with no recommendation. And you pitched
it was
me,
a recommendation. It was just not a full one.
Yeah. And you pitched to me one episode of a TV show.
Yes.
To be fair, it was over an hour long.
Yeah. It was a long ep.
And I was like, you know what? Well, sure, I'll give it a shot. I'll watch the first episode, and then you text me, and we recorded this Tuesday nights.
Yeah.
So we have this recording on Tuesday.
Yeah.
And then you text me Saturday in the afternoon. I've watched 5 episodes of Blue Eye, and I highly recommend watching past the first episode if you have time. I'll probably finish it before we record.
Yeah.
How many episodes are in the show?
8.
That's not enough time for me to sit down and watch 7 episodes.
I said I highly recommend you watch past the first one if you had time. I didn't say you had to finish it. I said I was going to finish it.
But I feel like there was a little bit. I feel like there was a little bit like, hey, I finished. Maybe you should go finish.
At that point, I had finished episode 5. I was halfway through, roughly, a little past halfway through, and the show only got better for me. So I was like, maybe if you could just see a little bit more.
So I'm giving you now 2 branching realities. Okay.
Okay.
The first reality is I review what you recommended.
Sure.
The first episode.
Okay.
And then another conversation can be had about the rest of the show.
Okay.
At a later date. Maybe you can recommend the full show.
Okay.
Or maybe I can
we can just talk the first episode. That's great.
Or we talk about what I've seen so far. And then that's the end of the conversation.
Oh, I think... Wait, do I get to choose? Is that what's happening?
You get to choose which road we go down.
Okay, the second one. Let's just talk about what you've seen so far. We'll talk about it. And that'll be
wrap it up.
Yeah, that's fine.
I've seen up to the first 10 minutes of episode 3.
Okay. Let me just pull it up for reference on.
Let me just pull up our Notion board because I'm going to make a statement and I have to double check to make sure the statement is true. Okay. This is the best TV show you've ever recommended.
Whoa,
and
really?
I think this might be the best TV show you ever recommend. I don't know if you will have to, the only way this is going to get topped is if you find another TV show right as it comes out again.
Yeah.
Before I can watch it and you snag it and you recommend it and you're like, okay, before Ryan watches it.
Okay, so I had watched the first episode and I was like, oh man, I know Ryan's gonna dig it and he's gonna beat me to it, and I don't have time to watch the full season, so I'm just gonna go for it. I'm getting in there. I'm recommending episode 1. We're just going for it. I'm so shocked. Okay, I thought you were gonna come in hating it. Okay, I'm pumped now.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about it.
I don't think there was literally the only thing that pulled me out of the transcendence that this show brings is side note, have you seen Kill Bill?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Is when she does the trainings in the first episode and the Kill Bill music comes on.
Yes.
I loved it, but it took me way out for a second.
Way out of it. It
and
did,
then
yes.
and then I got back in. I was like,
Yes,
I
agree. I totally agree, 100%. I heard that music and I was like, wait,
what? Yeah, exactly. I was like,
But-
super fitting, but like, what are you doing here?
As the show went on, I appreciated the homage. Like, because there's a ton.
Well, it's because Kill Bill is based off samurai movies.
Yes.
Like at a core, like samurai western revenge. Like,
Yep.
it's taken from that. So it's weird because it's an homage to Kill Bill, which is an homage to what this is originally.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, and as the show goes on, you're just going to see more and more like samurai homages. Like there's a
great.
building with 9 floors, like that whole thing.
Great, yeah.
It's all
Crouching
very
Tiger
good.
and Dragon kind of
Yes.
thing.
Yeah.
It's I loved it. I'm trying to think just like my process through it. The animation's incredible. Have you seen Arcane?
I haven't seen Arcane yet, but I know it's the same
So
style.
like I was debating maybe recommending that to you. It's like I've seen other animes. Is this considered an
I don't think it's technically an anime because it's not produced in Japan.
Okay.
I think
So, like,
I think it's
but I
produced in
have seen
America,
anime
so it's different. But
touch the 3D model, like the 3D CGI, and it's never done it for me. It's never worked, in my opinion.
Okay.
But like you have like Arcane, the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie,
Yep.
Spider-Verse, like that style where it's, they're playing into it a little bit and kind of creating this own style. Like I super dig it. I think it totally worked. I feel like they stuck to it as well. Like I was never pulled out of the design choice. Claws is another one. That's another kind of Christmas movie
Okay.
that is a really similar style.
Okay.
And then, yeah, the character development was incredible. I loved how they kept cutting back to her building the sword and the training. And then, like, I got to the part where she semi-spoilers, she kills the guy with a broken blade. And I loved how they tied that in a way that, like, I saw it coming, but I didn't at the same time.
Yep.
And it was like, sometimes that stuff where they're like, here's this guy after her. And then it's like, oh, wait, that's the guy. And they reveal that too close to the reveal. It sometimes pulls me out.
Yeah.
But because he was such a small character, I didn't really need to be this whole thing. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah.
And the revenge was good. That I loved. I think that this show did one of the best jobs of like finding her power and finding a good balance to it, where she's super badass,
Yep.
but like you don't feel like she's anime badass, where she's just like killing everyone without a problem. Like she hits,
She's not a god.
like yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's
like she gets knocked down and knocked down hard. And
yeah, and
she it's her pure willpower that gets her back up constantly.
exactly. And,
Yeah.
and it's not like it's willpower, but it doesn't feel like it's supernatural willpower. And like that was one thing is I'm interested to see this moving forward, because I'm like, there's no supernatural elements so far.
Yep.
There's like hints and winks to like the Japanese folklore of things, but
A
it's
little bit,
never
yeah.
like officially like the meteorite landing. Like that's a little bit like,
Yep.
what is that?
Yeah.
But
and
it's not like, oh, this was this god who was doing this in order to
yeah. They definitely keep it very grounded. There's no like mystical things happening, which I very much liked. I'd say just to touch on the animation style, that was honestly one of the reasons I wanted to bring it to you and wanted to talk about it, is specifically for the animation style, because I was watching it and like I knew there was other shows that were like it, like Arcane and stuff like that, but there was something that was really like hitting for me when I was watching the show, and I realized that it's this animation style portrayal of like gore, of like blood and guts, because I think this show live action would be too much. Like it'd be too much gore, too real, too much like blood and guts. Like it would bother me. I wouldn't want to watch it. But then if you're like 2D anime, it doesn't have the same weight. Like if it's 2D anime style, it's like, oh yeah, these are just cartoons. Like that's some red color on the screen. Like it doesn't have the same weight to it. And for some reason, this was like hitting that sweet spot right in the middle for me, where like I felt the intensity of the gore without feeling disgusted by it. Like I couldn't watch it.
I think that has nothing to do with the animation.
Really?
Actually. Because I noticed that as well, where the gore and violence was holding weight, but didn't make me go like, man, they're really showing me too much.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, for the biggest impact kills, they don't show it.
That's true.
Like they actually cut away a lot, which create lots, like it's that whole like typical like letting your imagination fill in the gaps to make it as tense as it needs to be to build that scene out. But I'm like, I think you could do it with real people and hold the same weight as well as full 3D or, you know,
that's true.
More traditional 3D or 2D. Because I think you need to know how to play in, like, you need to know how much is too much in that space.
In that medium? Okay.
So
I could see that.
I don't think it's the animation. I think it's the animators and the director knowing that sweet spot of, because there's like a scene, you know, where like the two guys get killed. I think it's like episode 2 in like the noodle cafe.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And like their guts are like dripping from the ceiling.
Yeah. Yep.
But they don't show them get killed. You just see the aftermath of it and you're like, holy crap.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then there's the scene where she's fighting the four fangs on the mountain and she like cuts this guy's arms clean off.
Yeah.
And you're like, whoa.
Whoa.
But you're like, it almost doesn't hit you as much. You're just like, that was cool.
Yeah.
And like intense, but then they move. There's no time to linger on it too much. Like we're still moving in the battle,
still fighting. Yeah.
Where the deaths that hit you the hardest are ones that like they let you sit in for a second. Like the murder happens, you can hear it, you see the blood splatter, and then it doesn't show it. And I just thought like, again, what was so great about this was that it was directed well. Like the animation was great, but like the compositions, the pacing of it was so good. The editing was so good. Like so often I feel like these shows, they lean too heavy on one thing. They go, we have this really cool animation style. We don't really like, we're going to take less time out of the writing, out of the pacing of this, out of the editing. We're just going to lean too heavy on one thing or the other. Yeah. And I feel like this just did such a good job of like, I watched the first episode and I like turned to my friend. I was like, I could literally watch this kind of show for the rest of my life because the pacing is just, it's so good and you feel the journey. And it's not like Avatar where it's like, we got to this town, let's go do the thing. Even though there is that, you don't feel the serial like episodeness of it.
No,
it feels like a continuous story.
A continuous journey. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm very excited to finish it.
Yeah, I'm really excited to specifically hear what you have to say about episode 5, because I think the show really peaks at episode 5 with it starts cutting between the main character's Mizu, her main plot, her past, and like a traditional Japanese like legend like being told at the same time, and you're like getting all of these parallels between these 3 different stories, and it was just like I was like, this is an amazing episode. I was just loving every second of it. But yeah.
I think the other thing about this show that shows how much I like it is I still have not finished Cowboy Bebop.
Okay.
Like I haven't finished it yet. I haven't come back to it.
Yeah.
There's nothing that's going to stop me from finishing this.
Okay. Wow. I'm feeling
like I'm just
so good this episode.
Super invested. I think they also did a really good job of playing. Cliches are not bad. I think that I need to say that first is like, just because something is cliche does not mean it's necessarily a problem. It just means it's been done a lot. But if you can execute a cliche well, it works. You know what I mean?
It, yeah.
But like her side character who joins her, he was just executed perfectly. Like, I felt like he just walked that line of like almost being annoying, but you kind of love him.
Yep.
And even the stuff with like, oh, this is this special metal with the sword. Like, all of it is just, they're cliches, but they work, and they use them exactly how they're supposed to be used, and
they're not like
lean too heavy on it.
They're not leaning on any one cliche too hard.
Yep.
Yeah. They're using some of them to their advantage and leaning on like the storytelling.
Even the main character being a female, you know, it's like, oh, okay, this is like Mulan and like so many other stories.
Yeah.
Like, I go to Mulan because it's just the most typical.
Yep.
But like, there's so many other stories like that. Like, this doesn't bother me. And in fact, they take the cliche, they work really well with it, they play into some themes of it, and they don't make it that's the whole thing.
Yes. Yeah.
Or even with her being like a different race, like and kind of ostracized by people. Again, they touch on it, but it's not the whole thing. Like, everything
they're not
just has such a good
harping on
balance.
it. Yeah.
Exactly. And I think like in other shows that you've recommended, I think I've felt the crutch of that on other shows.
Yeah. It's
like, I think of like Jujutsu Kaisen, of like so much of the crutch is on the combat and the animation.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going there for the writing. You're not going there for the editing. You're not going there for the pacing. Like, you're going there to see the cool thing happen.
Yes.
And they do it. And they do it really, really well.
Really well. Yeah.
But can you watch
you're leaning
seasons
on
of that? For me, no. You know what I mean? So
I can.
I know you can. Yeah, exactly. So, but I after the first episode, I was like, okay, this is great. So,
oh man, I'm so pumped. I can't wait to hear more about what you think. What do you think about the other samurai character that gets introduced?
the one from her childhood.
Yeah.
I really liked it. I like so far she'd been injured by the Four Fangs, and then he comes to duel her.
Yeah.
She passes out, and then they're like nurturing her back.
Yep.
So I'm really interested to see how that dynamic plays out.
I love how their dynamic grows, because it's clearly like it's really interesting, because there's like this whole honor culture thing going on where like he like hates her and thinks she's a man, but he hates her and wants to kill her, but he also needs it to be in an honorable way. Like, it needs to be a duel.
I need to heal you.
They're both at full health. I need to prove. It's so
health,
good. Yeah. Yeah.
Here, take this healing potion. I need to kill you.
Yeah. Yes, very much.
Side note, that's a great D&D character. Is like only killing in honorable ways. Like,
that is a good D&D
character. If there's someone that has to kill,
fun.
It's like, I need to give you this sword because otherwise this isn't fair. Like, I'm only gonna. But and it didn't feel like gimmicky. And it's like, I don't really know a lot about Japanese culture, so this is me talking out of my butt again, as always. But like, it felt honest to that culture. Like, it didn't feel like, oh, the way of the samurai says that we must, like, they don't need to explain it.
Yeah.
You just get it. It's the thing I've been preaching since the beginning of this podcast. Show don't tell. Mm-hmm. This show does it in spades. It's incredible.
Yeah. I think you're especially going to like it moving forward, because it's definitely a show where every character is muddied and in the gray. Like, even the main character you're following is like not always the best person, you know?
No, and to me, that is like,
everyone is
good
stuck
storytelling
in this like world, you know, and she's like battling everyone telling her she's a monster and whether she believes she's a monster or not. Yeah. I think probably the only good person in the show is her like sidekick, noodle guy.
Noodle guy. I can't remember his name. He's great.
Yeah.
I was like, early on, I was like, oh my gosh, it's gonna be like a Jar Jar Binks. I'm like, episode 2, I was like, nah, he's good.
He's chill.
He can chill
he's
around.
Good.
He's chill. He's chill. It's so good. Way more nudity than I thought.
Yeah.
Way more dicks than I was expecting. That's fine. That's
There's
fine, but I
more to
was like,
come. There's more to come. Yeah. There was a lot. The nudity like shocked me. Like it kept giving me the warning in the top left of the screen, like nudity, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And then it'd
Yeah,
pop
and it's
up, and I
like,
was like, oh, we're doing this.
and it's really, I think the thing about it too is I think some people would take this as a reason not to watch it or a reason to watch it. Is like it takes on kind of that Game of Thrones like complexity of characters and stuff, and includes the violence, includes the sex, includes the nudity, but all of it is easier to consume. One, because even so far, even in the sex and nudity stuff, it didn't feel gratuitous.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I said that word right. And same thing with the violence. Like, I don't know, there was just a piece of me of it didn't bother me as much, or it didn't like deter me from watching the show.
Yeah.
Where I feel like Game of Thrones does a little bit to get people to watch. And this just felt like a live action show that was animated and just had those scenes in it.
Yeah. Well, I felt like the nudity and the nudity scenes were like key plot points. Like they were showing an important thing that is happening most of the time.
Yeah.
It's not just it's nudity to attract people and it's nudity for nudity's sake. It's like, no, this person is having sex with this person, and that's kind of a big deal. And like the way it's happening is a big deal. And like the way they're reacting to it is a big deal. Like it's all like important at the same time. So it doesn't feel like needless, and like.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, I'm so glad you like this.
Yeah.
I'm
great
so
recommendation.
pumped. See, all my best recommendations are always off the cuff when I have nothing prepared. I continue the streak. This is dangerous.
I'm gonna give it its rating.
Okay, hit me.
I'm gonna give this 32 out of 32 teeth. I think this is a perfect score.
Wow.
I don't think
as of 2 episodes
I don't think I would
in.
want. Yeah.
Because that's
we
what I
can
recommended.
revisit it.
Yeah.
I don't know what more I would want from this kind of TV show. And again, that's like how I'm thinking about rating. Like, if you
in its
recommended
category, in its space,
in its category, in its space, would I want anything more? I don't think so.
Awesome.
I think we're good.
Awesome. Love to hear it.
Style's great, writing's great, editing's great, the pacing of it voice acting's great. Like the only snag was that one song that they threw in.
Yes.
And I get it, but man, did that whip me out. But then I was like, okay, this is cool. Like I'm down for it. So
yeah. Oh man, cool. Well, yeah. I hope everyone out there goes and checks this out. I feel like
you should. It's on Netflix. Check it out.
Netflix has been kind of like dipping for me. Like Netflix isn't necessarily like putting out my favorite stuff lately. But I saw this and I went back on Netflix and fired it up, and I was like, oh, Netflix, hello.
You did
Welcome
good.
back, my friend.
You did good.
You did good.
Okay, Glenn, I have to yell at you. Do you want to be yelled at? Do you want to be yelled at after or before the review?
Just give it to me now. I can't wait now. Just yell at me.
I finished Blue Eye Samurai.
Yes, let's talk about this.
Okay.
Yes. So
you need to fill everyone in on the conversation you and I had off air about the
Okay. So last week we talked about Blue Eye Samurai, and you'd only gotten a few episodes in, and I didn't want to say this on the episode and like break up the flow of our discussion, but I had finished Blue Eye Samurai, and I thought that the show peaked at episode 5. Which is where there's like a Japanese puppet theater mixed into the episode. Yep. And I thought the show kind of dipped after that and crashed in the finale. I hated the finale. I thought it was horrible.
So dumb.
I thought it fell apart.
You are so dumb. I am like so close to canceling this podcast because I'm like, this man has to explain to me.
Spoiler alert!
You were like,
for Blue Eye Samurai.
You said episode 5 is like a 10, and then like an 8, an 8, and then like a 2 for
Yeah.
the finale.
Yeah, I thought the
And
finale tanked.
That's wild. That's so wild. I was like, because here's the thing for it. I'm watching it and I'm like, I'm watching the finale. We're gonna spoil this.
Yeah.
So
Spoiler
if you
alerts for
haven't
Blue
watched
Eye
it,
Samurai.
you've had so long to watch it.
You had an extra week.
yeah, exactly. So
Extra 2 weeks.
basically, I'm watching the ending.
Yeah.
It's this big build up. People are getting off, and I'm kind of thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, what is going to be the thing for Glenn
Yeah.
that really crashes this episode?
Yeah.
And I'm waiting, and I'm waiting, and I'm waiting, and I'm waiting, and it's like nothing. I'm like, oh, cool. That's a cool character development. Oh, wow. Like, what a testament to the technology and what that would have felt like. And wow, this is really interesting. And like, they're using the guns and all this stuff.
Yep.
And then the ending happens, and I'm like, this man-child, if the issue with this show is that it ends on this like quote unquote cliffhanger, I'm done.
I'm fine with the cliffhanger.
Okay.
There's going to be a season 2. I mean, of course there's a cliffhanger.
Well, that's what I was like so confused about, because you're like, the ending is the worst part. And then it gets to the end, I'm like, she's going to go to England and she's going to, and she's going to chase this guy down. It's going to be really interesting. Dynamic shift. And like,
yeah,
super down for that. And I was like, how are they supposed to end the show? How are they supposed to end this season? So I was getting so mad. And everyone was talking to it. They were like, it's like, oh, I finished Blue Eye Samurai. And they're like, wasn't it so good? Didn't it end awesome? I'm like, yeah. And you know who didn't like it? Glenn. So I need to know what stupid opinion you have on the end of this episode. Because
I'm not going to make it through this episode.
I was like waiting, because I think here's the thing. I think episode 5 was really, really solid. But it took a new, cool, creative tension. But I didn't feel like it went down after that. It just felt like every episode brought some sort of new element and was playing into something.
Sure.
And I felt like coherently it told the story really well.
Okay, to be fair, I said 10, 8, 8, 2. 8s are still good.
That's fair. That's
5
fair.
is just my favorite. 5 is just my favorite.
You need to get to the 2.
6
cool.
and 7 were still good. Not like peak of my favorite part of the show, but still good.
I can't even begin to wrap
Episode
my head
8, man, was just, I don't know. Okay, you want details? You want details?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Let me.
Okay.
I need to know why you're wrong.
Okay, I don't even know if I need to justify myself to you. You're coming in pretty hot here.
Yeah, I'm coming in hot.
Okay, so Blue Eye
I
Samurai.
gave this a perfect rating, and I want to bump it. I might want to bump it down 1 point, but all right, let's hear. Let's hear.
So, I'm forgetting her name now. Is it?
I don't know any of their names.
Miku? I think it's Miku. Whatever. The samurai, the Blue Eye Samurai, eventually reaches the capital at which the climax of the story is going to take place. She is going there because her main adversary is going to march on this capital with an army of people with guns.
Yeah.
Onto a city that does not have this technology.
Yeah.
She just cares about killing this one guy, doesn't really care about the conflict that's happening, war, big picture wise. Some of the other tertiary side characters do care about this war.
Yep.
So they are trying to warn the emperor in the capital that the shonen, that this invading army is coming with guns. Okay, fine. It turns out that the people who are running this empire kind of brought this on themselves by trading with this guy in the first place, and there's been meddling, and then it turns out that one of the main characters' dad is actually in on this plot, and basically everything's going to hell. Cool. Totally on board up to this point.
So far, this is like 70% of the episode.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm good up to this point.
Whatever happens in the next 30%.
Okay. Then, Then we get to the point where he basically just marches into this town unopposed. He has an army of people with guns.
Yeah, like they're doing all these tactics that just totally don't
They
work.
are
if you have a gun.
untouchable. A bunch of samurai walk out onto the bridge to like protect this main palace, and they just get mowed down by guns. It's guns.
Yep.
You can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
So they basically just walk in this place. Fine.
One note there. Didn't
Yeah.
you kind of feel the castle was like a little empty?
It did. It felt
I
a
wasn't
little
sure
empty.
if that was a budget cut thing or they were just like, hey, they're all up in these areas.
Yeah, I
you're
assumed
just
it was
seeing
kind of a budgeting thing. It's a lot of people to animate that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But
Didn't bother me too much, but
my main thing was
like,
like, okay, how is this gonna end? Because like they all have
Okay.
guns. Like it's over. Like there's nothing you can do about this invading army. It's not gonna happen. Like she might be able to squeak in and kill this guy,
yeah,
but like this town's done. Like
yeah,
yeah, you
absolutely.
know. So like this kind of conflict is going on, and they're fighting inside this main temple, and the Blue Eye Samurai essentially at some point is the main villain basically just guns down at most of the people in charge, just starts shooting people.
That
right?
scene is so good.
It is a very good scene, and then the Blue Eye Samurai intervenes, I think, at some point, and gets in an altercation with the main villain while everyone's trying to escape.
Yeah.
She does not have a sword for some reason, if I recall.
She
left her sword. She left her really good sword behind with the blacksmith.
Shattered.
It got shattered. She left it behind to get repaired. So she
definitely has a sword.
Doesn't have a sword for some reason. I'm like, there's swords everywhere. Why don't you have a sword for one? She ends up using like an improvised weapon, I think.
Right,
yeah, please pull it up. I think she's using an improvised weapon for a majority of this fight. And then
Glenn has so far explained 98% of the episode. So I'm like, what?
Okay, I'm getting to it right now. Okay, during this fight, she knocks a lamp over to like set fire to the room to give like some tactical advantage here, right? To fighting this guy. He is a good fighter. They're pretty evenly matched. This is a tough fight. And she sets fire to this room, right? And then like a couple beats go by, and suddenly the entire city is just on fire. Like
So dumb.
that is the reason like the gunmen are being stopped is like the entire palace is on fire, and then someone closes a door and traps all the gunmen in there, and they all burn to death. And then it like later on it like cuts back, and the entire city is on fire.
Yeah.
Within the span of like 10 minutes. And I'm like, what? Like what like it just skipped to like suddenly the whole town's on fire, all the gunmen are dead in this fire. It just felt like such like a cop out for like this thing that they had established of like, well, the city has fallen to these gunmen. Just kidding, the whole thing's on fire and they're all dead. And I'm like, wait, what? Like that, you couldn't like at least establish some like shots of like the fire spreading, oh no, and like people are running away. Like it was just like suddenly the gunmen are dealt with, everything's on fire. I was like, okay. And then I was getting pissed this whole fight because like I'm pretty sure she doesn't have a sword for a lot of this fight, which is kind of her main thing. Like I don't know what you're doing. And I'm like, he has an army of people with guns. Like, why is she not just getting shot? Like, there's guns everywhere. Like, why does he not have a gun on him to just shoot her? Like, the practicality of this fight is, you're losing me on this. And then it gets to the point where, like, she finally, like, beats him. And Ryan is giving up on me. She finally beats him in this fight, and he's like, oh, I have information on where you can find the other two white men. Like, they're in London, and you'll never be able to find them without me, and blah, 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 blah. Yep. So she ends up sparing this dude so that she can use him for information to go find these guys. And I was like, what? that is like so out of character for her. Like, I feel like her character would literally be like, I am a super badass person with extreme determination. I don't need you to find anyone. I can find anyone I want because I'm an insanely badass person. I'm just gonna kill you. Like, I was so mad that I'm so mad that she didn't kill this dude. I was so pissed. And then, not bad. Okay, you got to that point, and I'm like, I'm not loving the way this is going. And then it cuts to her on a ship with this dude, like captive.
Yeah.
And they are sailing off to London. Yeah. And I was so disappointed.
Why?
I was like, you had this arc of learning that maybe you need to rely on people. Like, you are turning and you made friends and you had this sidekick that is helping you. Like, you had this character arc of her realizing that like other people might be valuable to her and they have saved her life on several occasions at this point. And she's just like, I don't need the blacksmith. I don't need the guy that's helping me. I don't need this other samurai. I don't need my sword. It. I'm just leaving it all behind. And somehow I magically have this ship now that's sailing me to London. And I was like, what just happened? You just left everything behind, magically have a ship, and you're going to London. And I'm like, I loved the scenery we were in. Why are we going to London? What is happening?
I knew it.
Why are we going to London?
So here's the thing, viewers. Glenn is being a child. And he's stomping his feet.
No.
Because he can't stay in Japan, and he's stomping his feet because it wasn't a happy ending, and like it's just the whole the whole show.
I know it's not gonna be a happy ending. It's gruesome.
You need to shut up. I'm so mad at you. The whole show is building up to revenge, right? It's this. She's playing with this side of, I want to kill whoever and whatever made me and made me this way because I'm a demon. I'm all these things. Yeah. And she's constantly walking this line of, she's a samurai, she's not a samurai, honor, dishonor, letting revenge take her, and then there's the turning point where Ringo is like, you're no samurai.
Yes.
And you're kind of waiting for her to wake up to that reality and turn.
Sure.
But she doesn't. And she is literally diving headfirst into revenge and is alienating herself from everyone she knows emotionally and physically. Yeah. And I don't understand. Like, that's character development. They're not saying, hey, it's the end of the season. Here's the little wrap up. Here's the nice little tidy bow. It's like, no, relationships are broken. The city's burnt down. Like, everything's in chaos and we're leaving it. And it's like, she started that fire. Like, she was the one that has now basically sent an entire country into civil unrest because she just basically not let the guy die. Like, she didn't kill him, but she,
it would have been in civil unrest if the guy had taken over.
Yeah, exactly. But there's this piece where you're like, she did start the fire, and yes, that technically killed all the guys with the guns. But you're kind of going like,
it also burnt down the entire city.
It also burnt down the entire city, and like everyone's leaving.
She is a demon, a monster that destroys everything in her path.
But then there's the thing too, where it's like
she destroys everything in her path except the person she's trying to kill.
Okay, so that's my point. Is you would think, like, I think the anime way of doing things would be, nope, I'm gonna kill you, and by the pure power of will, I will find these men and I will kill them.
I mean, that's her character, yes.
No, that's not her character. She's extremely calculated about everything. When she meets the guy who ends up being the one-armed dude and like tries to get her in the barrel, she's super tactical. Like, she's always about revenge, but it's not out of blind fury. Like, it's not like she's going in to kill these people, but she's extremely tactical. And he says, I live loudly. Like, they don't live loudly. Yeah. And if you put yourself into that perspective and you're not going, well, I know how the world works. It's like, you're in Japan. That's been your entire world for your entire life, and someone goes,
Mm-hmm.
"Hey, I actually have all of my bastards in those cages, those people you killed.
Yeah.
Those are all the ones that I knew about.
Yeah.
I doubt you're probably my kid." And like, he could be lying.
Sure.
But then there's also this piece where it's like, for her to go, "Well, I'll find them and kill him," and go, "I've never been outside of Japan. I don't know what the world's like." Like, she's so set on getting
To be
revenge
fair-
on the person who really wants it that she's willing to use the person. Like,
Sure,
you're
sure,
thinking
sure.
revenge from like just anime bullshit perspective of like, I have to destroy everything, and like revenge. It's such a more realistic human like idea of revenge.
Okay. To be fair, I
my
think
gosh.
I am more upset that was the direction the writers decided to go in.
No, I'm so
Like-
excited.
Like I'm more upset that they decided to go in, "Oh, she now needs to keep this guy alive because he has information," and like I'm sorry, I do not want to go to London. Why are we going to London?
Oh my gosh.
Where like you set up this really cool like environment that this whole story is happening in. It feels like Tarzan 1, cool, we're in the jungle. This is awesome. Cool stuff is happening. Tarzan 2, we're going to London. Like, what? It feels like a gimmick. Like, why? You have all these cool characters and all this setup in Japan, and like it'd be cool to see the civil unrest that this causes and
But
how
I
that's
think-
going to affect her journey and stuff.
They might still do that, and I get that perspective, but I'm also like, she's also going to visit the country that's going to be full of people with the distinguishing feature that she's called out for. So now I'm like, okay,
Well, yeah,
she's
well,
heading
also-
to like the land of the demons, basically,
yeah.
to kill her father. And then
Yep.
now it's like, how is she going
She's
to be
going to
alienated
hell.
there? Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
like in from their perspective, like they call all the white people like white demons. Like, so I'm
Yeah,
just kind of
yeah.
like, I get it. I really like the setting. I don't think they're done with Japan, but I'm like, I'm really interested because now it's like she's gonna probably need to play a game of revenge that she doesn't know anymore.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
not just taking the samurai sword and going in. There's gonna be.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just like.
Well, now
I
she's
feel
going to
like-
a country with technology and guns. So yeah.
Exactly.
I
So
mean,
then-
all of her
so-
skills are useless at this point.
Not all. Oh my god. I just like It makes me so mad because it's such a cool concept, and they're giving it the just a sprinkle of nuance,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just like you spit it out, and you're like, no. I want my comfortable TV show where everything happens in the same place, and you need to resolve things with Ringo. Everything needs to be fun. And I just I'm like, no, this is like a show that's doing something new and different. And like, why can't we have that? We have so many TV shows that are just the blind rage revenge arc of I'm gonna kill everything in my path, and going, hey, if you kill me, it'll literally be impossible to find the 3 other guys that you're looking for. And she's like, that's a really good point. Okay. And you're like, no. By the will inside, like, there's nothing supernatural about this show.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
I just,
I guess. Yeah. Just different
a 2.
different things for different people, I guess. I don't know, Ryan. I don't know.
That makes me so mad.
Okay. Well,
No, I need a second.
I mean, I'm still excited for season 2. I want to keep watching the show because so much of the show was so good to me. I loved so much of it. I really didn't like the last 10 minutes of the finale pretty much. Like,
So, like, you're-
from my memory, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but from my memory, the last major fight with this dude is like a fist fight. It's like a brawl. She doesn't even have a sword.
I don't get why that's an issue.
Like everything cool up to this point has been her with a sword. Like that's the coolest part of the show. And it's like finale, just kidding, no more sword.
I
I'm
think
like-
he pulls out a knife.
I think there's a knife involved. It was just like all the coolest parts of the show was like the samurai with the sword. Like that's the thing we're doing here. And then it's like, just kidding, we're boxing now.
But oh no, she does. No, she has a knife. Yeah, where? She definitely has a sword.
Like there's like okay,
to
get back to her being a tactical, calculating person. Your best weapon in combat is a katana, and you're not going to find a katana to bring to this fight? Like, I understand your really good one is broken, but I guarantee you can find another katana somewhere.
No, she has one of those spears.
She has a spear. Okay.
That spear thing that the guy's like, this
you
is
know
the
what I'm
best
saying?
against.
You know what I'm saying?
get-
Like,
I
my
get what you're
top
saying.
skill is with a katana, and I'm just not going to have one going into
I
the
think-
most
I think
important
here's
fight
the
of my
thing,
life.
though. If she has the katana and they're going to hand, she wins.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, all the drama from the scene is gone.
He has a gun.
No, he doesn't have a gun through that whole fight.
I mean, give him a gun.
No, but that's one shot, and then it's like you
I
missed,
guess.
you're dead now.
I
It's not like it's a
okay.
machine. It's not like an M16.
Or like, okay. Disarm her in some way. It is
he
it is
does.
it is crazy to me. She
does
doesn't
disarm her.
She
She
doesn't
has
bring
these-
a
has this
katana to the
weapon.
fight.
She brings the thing that the guy that her husband was specifically like, this is the best weapon when you're outnumbered.
Okay. That's fine. I think we need to move on. I don't. This is gonna end well. This is gonna end the podcast. Okay. I'm still excited for season 2. I loved a majority of the show. I loved literally 98% of the show. I just
I
wasn't
think I'm like
huge fan
I just
of
don't understand how that last, not even 2% was like tanked the episode that much.
It's the finale.
I get the soldiers with the fire a little bit.
It's the finale.
To be fair, there was a whole scene surrounded by it. I'm like, are you looking for too much of a bow on stuff?
No, I'm fine with a cliffhanger. There were so many things happening in that episode that I was like, that doesn't make any sense.
I just don't. I
don't know.
I was like waiting for through the whole episode to be like, where does Glenn get kicked off of this?
Ryan, we're a half an hour in. We're supposed to be. We haven't even gotten to the review yet. We're supposed to be talking about claws.
This guy heated so much more. It's fine. All right. We'll let bygones be bygones.
Blue Eye Samurai was last week or last episode. We'll talk about it again.
I had to bring it up.
You had to bring it up. That's fair. I didn't tell you to finish the whole series last time. That's my fault. So that's why we're here. But
now we're doing a gear shift.
Maybe we're gonna gear shift. Christmas movie.